This is Susan Allen, and I'm in the home of Cynthia Kerr, and I'm interviewing her because I know her personally as a friend. And 3 years ago, she retired from the state of Tennessee, where she worked for 32 years, had a great career there. But she retired, and she's certainly been very active. And upon retirement, she did return to school. Cynthia, what did you decide to do with your education after you retired?
Susie, I knew that I didn't want to do nothing after retirement. So I started seeking God about where I could have a purpose in my life. And I was led into the counseling field, Christian counseling. And I've always had a heart for women who have been through crises and their brokenness, and I wanted to find out how to help them.
So you got your bachelor's degree and you're seeking your master's degree, and it's in pastoral counseling. Is that
Y-
correct?
yes, I'm a licensed pastoral counselor and in my church, and I at this moment am specializing in individual and family counseling, but through my master's program I am taking advanced courses so I can branch out.
Cynthia and I both volunteer on Mondays in Springfield, Tennessee at Open Door Pregnancy Center. And most of the people that volunteer there have a heart for that, a special heart for that, and maybe have a testimony. And Cynthia does have a testimony, and share with me why you want to spend your time there.
Yes, I do have a heart for that place, Susie. I was a pregnant teenager myself. I was not married, and this was in the 60s where being pregnant and not married was very unacceptable in the church and out of the church. So my parents sent me to a home for unwed mothers. It was a secret in our family, and the adoption was closed.
And you carried that secret on throughout your life for a period of time, right?
I did. Um, I kept it a secret from everyone. Only my family knew. I did get married and have children later, but I never told my husband. It was a secret that I carried, and because of that, it did a lot of damage to me emotionally. It affected my relationships, it affected all my decisions I made. It caused me to have a lot of shame and guilt, and it was damaging.
And of course, back in the 60s, if you were unmarried and pregnant, adoption was the only option. And not that it was a bad option, but birth mother counseling was not given in a good way. And basically, you didn't have a choice in this matter. And so you felt like you had done something shameful, and you carried that shame with you. Now, how did that play out later when you had children of that you did parent?
You're right, Susie. I never really heard the word abortion until many, many, many years later. And but when I did get married and had my own children, I had a daughter who became pregnant when she was a teenager. And so at the time, all I knew about abortion was what I had been told, that it was just a little blob of tissue, and that if you went ahead and got the abortion at that time, then you could start your life over. Nobody would ever know about it. And since my own adoption was a secret, then I chose that for my daughter too, because it was going to be a secret. Nobody would ever know about it. She could get over it over the weekend and go back to school, and she wouldn't have to wonder who her baby was with or how her baby's life was going. And I felt like that was the best choice for her.
And
I
then
know
later
now,
on, you changed your mind about that decision.
yes, I know now that it wasn't a good decision. I regret that that ever happened. And she and I went through a time of forgiveness for each other. And also, she had a time when the abortion came back to haunt her. And she contacted the local crisis pregnancy center in her hometown. And they had a post-abortion program where she went through it and received a healing. And as a result of that, she is able to speak to other young ladies about the truth of abortion.
Wow, so you know what it's like to have a crisis pregnancy and choose adoption. You know what it's like to have a crisis pregnancy and to choose abortion. And adoption certainly looks different these days. Now we have open adoption and semi-open adoption, whereas back in our day, we only had closed and confidential adoption. However, your adoption did have a happy ending. You talked about being haunted by not knowing what happened to your baby girl, but now you know her and live close to her and even have a relationship with her. Tell me a little bit about how that came about.
Yes, Susie, my daughter contacted me out of the blue when she was 32 years old, and she wanted to know who her birth mother was. So at this time, it was still a secret, but I prayed and asked the Lord if He would just open this up for me where I could meet her and get this secret off of me. And so He did. He did wonderful things for us. We were joined together. She met her other brothers and sister, and we have been in an ongoing relationship for the last 17 years.
It's a remarkable story, and she did meet her birth father, and it ended up that she was a perfect match for him when he needed a kidney transplant, and she actually donated a kidney to her birth father, and that's a marvelous story as well. Back at the pregnancy center, some girls come in and they're confused about what choice if they're pregnant, and of course we never refer for abortion because we are pro-life and we do acknowledge that life begins at conception. But what about those that choose to parent? What do we do for them?
When the girls choose to parent, we have a program there called Earn While You Learn, and they earn money as they are being responsible parents and learning how to raise their children in a healthy way. It's a wonderful program. It's a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm. So whether they choose adoption, whether they choose parenting, or whether they need to be healed from a past abortion, you are well qualified to minister to them, and most of all, you have a heart for that as well.
Yes, I do. I do. I love those girls. I relate to everyone that knocks on that door and comes in. That's the part I like about my week, is that one day it gives me an opportunity to give back to what God has done for me.
Thank you so much for your time.